Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to another first impressions of an older palette, a palette that was released probably like a year ago or so. I've been sitting on this palette for a while. This was another gift that I was so graciously gifted to me from my mom for Christmas, and I wanted to film my first impressions on camera. The Melt MaryJane palette. I feel so grateful for this. I have wanted it since it released. I filmed a video, like a get ready with me, or like a shot my stash, duping the vibes, but I love it. I think it's so beautiful and grungy and cool toned. I like the packaging. I don't feel like I love this raised part. I don't know why, but I mean, I like it. Melt loves a fucking weed theme. Like, they love their fucking devil's lettuce, don't they? I don't really personally care that much that it's weed themed. Like, it doesn't really, like, I don't think about it that much. But yeah, I just thought I would see if it's still worth the hype. Well, I feel like it was kind of mixed, right? Like, some people really liked it and some people really didn't. I have a feeling I'm going to like this. There are a lot of shimmers in here, which shimmers from Melt typically haven't been my favorite formula, but I do love Melt Matte, so we'll see. There looks like a lot of really beautiful textured shimmers. So as always, I'm going to do some live swatches. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more to do some swatching, and let's just start. So the first shade is the shade MaryJane. This is like a greeny gold almost. Yeah, I have a feeling that these shimmers are gonna get hard pan because I already feel like getting hard pan, but whatever. Then we have the shade Gaspar, which is like a greeny, like a gray green, and then the shade Sweet Lucy, which is a greeny deep taupe. That one feels a little bit more crumbly. Then we have the shade Bomba. Are these strains? I don't know. I don't really know much about weed strains, to be honest, which is a gray, like a gunmetal-y gray. The shade Sensimilla, which is a dark cool toned brown. And the shade Santa Maria, which is another gray. This is actually quite similar to the shade Bomba. This has a bit more taupe. It's like almost a more cool toned brown, whereas Bomba is a little bit more like gray, gunmetal-y gray. The shade Rubia, which is a matte. It's a more neutral brown. Mid-toned neutral brown. The shade Beau is a like kind of neutral bronze, like shimmery kind of bronzy brown. The shade Mari is a light neutral brown. Matte. And then the last shade in the palette is the shade Cali, which is a like kind of light, I almost want to say like champagne, like neutral champagne-y kind of color, but it's not really champagne because it's not that warm. But yeah, this is the palette. I mean, it's nothing like crazy, you know, it's pretty obviously neutral and dark, and there's not a ton of like variation in terms of like different tones or anything, but I think this is going to be like a really go-to neutral grungy palette for me, to be honest. I'm probably not going to do anything crazy in terms of look today, but I'm just going to play with it, see how I like it, see, you know, how the shimmers are, how the mattes are, and just, yeah, play with this palette, see how it is after all the hype has died down about it, because now I feel like I don't hear anyone talk about it anymore. So I'm going to do some up-close swatches of these shades as I typically do in my first impressions, inspired by Lauren May Beauty, giving credit where credit is due because she is literally the best. And then we'll get into a little eye look. So I'm just gonna start. Obviously, what else would I do? Okay, so I'm gonna start with the shade Mari, which is this latest shade here, and see how it goes. And I have primed my eyes using the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base, and I have not set my lids. So I'm just going to take this shade and run this through my crease as my initial transition shade. It actually swatched quite light, but Melt's mattes are always, in my experience, really buildable. So we'll just see how it blends, how it builds, all that good stuff. It's definitely building and blending well. It's still quite a light taupey shade, so for me it works. It's not necessarily going to, unfortunately, work for everyone. It definitely builds really nicely on itself and it blends really well. For me, it's a nice like transition shade, but it's still quite light. And now I'm going to take this shade Gaspar, which is this greeny brownie shade. It's so nice. Oh my god. And I'm just going to take this through my outer corner of my crease. Again, like I said, I'm not doing anything crazy in terms of shape. I really just want to dig into this palette and use it a little bit. And this shade is so beautiful. Melt really just always kills it. Maybe not the brunette palette, I will say, but typically, okay, maybe not 100% of the time, but typically for me, they always kill it. I just love them as a brand. This shadow is maybe a little bit more powdery though than I'm used to Melt shadows being. This will be the newest Melt palette that I'll have tried. I think up to this point, the most recent, oh actually, that's a lie because I used the Amor y Mariposas palette. And maybe that one was a little bit powdery as well. But look at that shade, and it blends like it so well. Just beautiful. And now I'm gonna take this shade Sinsamila, I don't know. I could actually see myself reaching for this brown a ton. But I say that about any dark shade that's in a palette, so. I just love this formula. Oh. Delicious, beautiful. Look at this crease. Look at this grungy, delicious crease. So I'm going to take the shade Sweet Lucy in the center of my lid and MaryJane in the front part. This is putting me in a good mood. I wasn't in a good mood this morning because there's a lot of shit going on with women's reproductive rights in the country below me, and it doesn't make me feel happy. So this is a little bit of a distraction. Everyone should have access to abortion, safe abortion. Okay, anyway, I'm going to put glitter primer all over my lid. Okay, and this is the moment of truth. Now I'm taking Sweet Lucy in the center, which is this beautiful like greeny, olivey brown. I feel like it's flaky, but it's definitely adhering like relatively well to a glitter primer. And then taking MaryJane. This is a really, it looks like a just like regular schmegular shade in the pan, but it has a very beautiful like bright green quality to it. Also quite flaky though, if you don't like that. I did get a little bit of fallout. Fallout isn't something that really, from that shimmer specifically, fallout isn't really something that really bothers me. I kind of just wipe it away, but just to let you know. So I'm going to do the same thing in my other eye. I just love this. I love it so much. So I'm going to take Gaspar, which was the brownie green. Run this over the front part of my eye one more time. And taking Sinsamila and also running this through the front part of my eye and using this to blend the shimmers out. And then using this to deepen my outer corner as well. And then I'm taking Mari on a little fluffy brush and just blending over the edge of my shadow. This one feels harder pressed than the other two mattes that I've used. It doesn't have as much kick up in the pen. I'm just blending over the edges of my shadow with this. Beautiful. Now I'm taking Sweet Lucy and MaryJane on my finger. And just intensifying these on my lid. Actually, I like these shimmers. I know they're a little bit flakier, but I don't mind that. I wish this is how all of Melt's shimmers were. I just want to keep it all the same, so I'm gonna use the same Gaspar shade underneath my eyes. Okie doke. So now I'm gonna take Sinsamila and deepen my lower lash line. And then I'm gonna take Mari and blend this out. Everything I do just makes me love this look so much more. Just for shits and gigs, I'm gonna take the shade Beau, which is this like bronzy brownie shade, and I'm gonna put this in the front part of my lower lash line It's not really gonna make much of a difference, but I figured why not use it. This one definitely isn't as flaky as the two shades I have on my lid. And then I'm gonna take Cali. This like taupey, silvery, champagne kind of combination of shades. Oops, this is quite flaky though. And spray this. Put this on my inner corner. Which isn't maybe, it's a little bit darker than I typically would go for an inner corner shade, but because my look is already dark, it does like work as a highlight. And then why not take a little bit of that and put that on my brow bone. Oh, it's quite flaky, so it's not even really sticking. And then I'm going to use the Melt Gemini palette. I'm going to take the shade Bonnie, which is this matte black, and use that to deepen my outer corners. So I'm going to just finish up my face and then show you the finished look and give you like kind of my first thoughts on the palette. Okay, and this is the finished look. Honestly, okay, first let me do what I'm wearing on my lips. I'm wearing the Colourpop Lippy Pencil in the shade Ashton, and I blended it out a little bit with the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in Sandstorm, which you guys know what it looks like. It's just this. I use it all the time. And yeah, I have the Bold Face Makeup Lashes on in Now or Never. And everything else that I wear or have on my face will be in the description box. So honestly, my thoughts on this palette are that I like it, I love it, and that's pretty much it. The shades MaryJane, Sweet Lucy, and Kali are all, or Cali probably, are all flaky. They're quite flaky, they're textured. I love them, but I did get fallout from them. Doesn't personally bother me, I just wipe it away, but I know that fallout does bother a lot of people. And I didn't really use these other three metallics, the shade Bamba, Santa Maria, and Beau. But they all seem to be a similar formula, more of just like a traditional metallic. And I do really like these shades. Melt's shimmers are always like different no matter what palette. I feel like they're so inconsistent with their shimmer formula, and they just need to, like, so many brands do such amazing shimmer formulas. I don't know why they can't just come up with a good one and keep to it. Frankly, I, like I said, really like this flaky shimmer formula, but I don't think that's gonna be like a crowd pleaser. I know a lot of people didn't like that. In terms of the mattes, I thought all the mattes that I used worked really well. The only matte shade that I didn't use was Rubia, but they're typical Melt mattes. They blend well, they're a little bit drier, but they just build so beautifully that I just adore them. And honestly, this palette, like, frankly, how many different looks you're gonna be able to do with it? Not that many. So, I mean, it is an expensive palette that doesn't have like a ton of variety, but if you like smoky looks, if you like cool tone looks, I mean, I love this palette so far. I'm so happy to have it. This is one that like would have remained on my wish list for a long time. I know that if I wasn't gifted it by my lovely mama. And I probably would have bought this at some point eventually, but I'm so happy to have it. I'm truly so happy to have it. Could I do this look with other shadows that I already own? 100%. Like, I would never sit here and lie to you. But sometimes it's not always about that, or at least not for me. Let me know if any of you have this palette. Is it still on your wish list? Maybe waiting for a sale, Black Friday, something, or are you just like really over cool tones now? You know, maybe you're glad you skipped out on it because you know you wouldn't use it. Let me know, tell me all the tea. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to stick around, I upload 3, sometimes 4 videos a week. So, you know, there's just so much of me to go around because I know you just want that so bad. and I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!